Everybody, now look at yourself in here. One of you in here is gonna mix these up, and you're gonna add those. You know, make sure it's not you. In the hyperbole, you subtract, I'm sorry, in the ellipse, you subtract. In the hyperbole, you add, okay? So c squared is 12, and c would be the square root of 12. So your foci was always is going to look like the vertices. It's going to be this same thing, only you replace the 4 with that square root of 12. So it's negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 12, comma 1. Underneath number 2, underneath the x plus 1 squared is a 1. Okay? We know on number 2 that the center is at negative 1 and 4. So we go to negative 1 and 4 and put a dot. Now, underneath the x squared is the 1, so we go 1 in both directions. Underneath the y minus 4 squared is a 9, so we go up 3 and down 3. You connect the dots, and there's your ellipse. Okay, now the long ways are the vertices, the ones up and top. And we are adding that to the 4, the y coordinate. So the vertices would be negative 1, comma 4, and then I went up 3 and down 3. So you go plus and minus 3. Now, the co-vertices are these over here, the short ones, okay? So the co-vertices will be opposite the vertices. Instead of adding it to 4, you add it to negative 1, but you only add a 1. So you write negative 1 plus or minus 1, and then go comma 4.
What does the comma 4 mean again?
That's just the coordinate. See, that's negative 1 plus 1, so that point there is 0, 4. So negative 1 plus 1, 0, 4. And then this one is negative 1 minus 1. So that's
Okay.
negative 2, 4. So that's the x and the y coordinate.
Okay, gotcha.
Now, you need to find C for the focus, right? Foci. And C, do we add or subtract 9 and 1? So C squared is 9 minus 1, which is 8. So C is the square root of the snowman. And the foci then will look just like the vertices. Okay? So instead of that 3, it's going to be the square root of 8. So it's going to be negative 1, comma 4, plus or minus the square root of 8. Okay, now we have the hyperbola. Now, how do we know this is a hyperbola? The minus, and then it asks you for asymptotes too, okay? All right, the center, 0 and 1. Okay, there's the x. Now, remember when the y is the one that's positive, minus the x, okay, then the two vertices go up the y-axis. So it's going to be going up and down like that, okay, when the y is positive, okay. See that one? Oh, no, that was the, no, this is the one. This was the x squared was positive minus the y. So if the x is positive, it goes side to side. So now we're at the center, you go to 0, 1, right there. Underneath the x squared is 25, so we go 5 in the two directions. Underneath the y squared is 16, so you go up 4 and down 4. 4. Then this is where you draw your rectangular box. And then this is why we know how to graph it. Through the corner of those, you draw your asymptotes. And we need to write the equation of those also. Okay, now where did we say we're going to be drawing the graph? So it's going to come up here. There's the vertex. And right there. So we've got the graphing all done. Okay? So the vertices are the top and the bottom. So we are adding to the 1, and that's the y term. See, it's going up. So the vertices are 0, comma 1, and we go up and down 4. So from here we went up 4 and down 4. Okay? Now on the hyperbola we don't have the cone, we just have the foci. And what we do is, here is c squared is a squared plus b squared. So 16 plus 25 is 41. So c is the square root of 41. And the foci and the vertices will be written the same way. So you write 0, comma 1 plus and minus the square root of 41. Okay, now remember over here when we did the asymptotes, okay? So the y plus 3 up there, it's y minus 1. So the asymptotes would be y minus 1 equals plus or minus. From the center, we went up 1, 2, 3, 4, and you go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we go 4 over 5, and then parentheses. Now, you don't need to write x minus 0. You could just put x. But either one would be correct. Make sure you don't put squared here. That's just the equation of this straight line and this one. Don't forget to write plus and minus. The asymptotes to a plus and minus. On 4, underneath the y minus 2 is a 1, isn't it? Okay? So who can tell me what the center is going to be? Negative 1, 2, okay? So negative 1, 2, we put a dot. We go left 4 and right 4 because it's 16. We go up 1 and down 1 because it's a 1. And you draw your rectangular box. And the asymptotes go through those corners. Okay, it's the x squared first. Is it going to be top and bottom or left and right? Left and right. So it's here and here. There's are your vertices. So we start at the center, negative 1, and you go 4. So we go add and subtract 4, comma 2. We didn't go any up. So we just stayed with add it to the negative 1. What does c squared equal here? Which is 17. So c is the square root of 17. And that replaces the 4. So for your foci, you go negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 17. Okay, now, hopefully you guys are not gonna be the one that has the trouble with the asymptote, because it's written right here for you. You always start with the y term, so you write that y minus 2 equals plus or minus from the middle. I went up 1 and I go over 1, 2, 3, 4. 1/4, and then parentheses, there's that x plus the 1.
Will you go over that one more time? That part right there.
Okay, now, when we did it before, the asymptote was just a single y equal the slope x. But now when we shift it over, we shift the asymptote the same way. So it's written right there, how you write, instead of y, you write the y minus 2 equals, the slope is the same way, but then the x one is the one right there. So they're there for you, you just need to be able to write those out.
So when you go up 1 and over 4, you come to the corner of the box that you
Right,
created?
so
and
from
same
right
with the
here,
bottom?
right, we went up 1, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Yep. That's exactly, and then the other one is down 1. This one is down 1, so that's why it's the minus. Okay, now, on the test, you're gonna have two parabolas, 2 hyperbolas, and 2 ellipses that look just like this. Now, one of these might be like we did last week where we didn't shift them. The center was at 0, 0, okay? So that means it's just x squared over 16, isn't it, okay? So they could be, one of them could be like that. All right, now, you're gonna be given a problem that they give you the vertices and foci, and then you write the equation of the ellipse, okay? And this is, it tells you it's an ellipse, okay? All right. I need to know the center of this, okay? So I'm gonna have to probably write some points down here. So, I'm on this graph here, and I'm at -2 and up here at 11. And I'm at -2 down here at -7, okay? So the ellipse is gonna be like this. I need to know where is the center of this. It's gotta be right in the middle of these 2 points, doesn't it? So what's the center gonna be? -2 what? How do I find the center? I was at 11 up here, I am down here at -7. So you add the 2 and divide by 2. So where's the center? -2, 2. So then, how many did I go up to get to -2, 11? 9. And then I have to go down 9, right? From -2, 2 to negative, I go up 9 and down 9. Now, if this is the center, this is gonna be x plus 2 squared over a squared, then plus y minus 2 squared over b squared equals 1, okay? But I know that I'm gonna go up 9 and down 9, so I know that b squared is 81, okay? I need to know what a squared is. Well, look what they give you. They give you the foci. Now, this is a little bit of hint. Look, that's -2, 2, plus the square root of 65, and then minus the square root of 65. What do you think that square root of 65 equals? C. See? That's plus and minus. They wrote it out twice. So this one, C
C equals the square root of 65, so C squared is 65. Now remember, in an ellipse, C squared equals, now this one, it would be B squared minus A squared. So 65 equals 81 minus A squared. Change places here. A squared is 81 minus 65, which is 60. So the answer would be x plus 2 squared over 16 and y minus 2 squared over 81. Notice that by writing out the foci, they actually gave you the center, negative 2, 3. Little bit, okay? All right, now, on this one, I'm going to change number 6 because I don't give you a problem like this where I give you the conjugate axes. So would you cross all of that out? And I'm going to give you the foci like I do on the test. Okay? All right, now first off, where is the center? This is 7, 5, and 7, negative 3. Okay? So, I'll be over 7, 5. And down here it's 7, negative 3. Okay? So where's the center going to be?
7, 1.
So right there is the center at 7, 1. Okay? So I know now this one has to go up like this and down like this, okay? So if the center is at 7, 1, I know that this is going to be y minus 7 squared over b squared minus x minus 1 squared over a squared equals 1. And how many from 7, 1 do I go up and down? We go 4, isn't that correct? So I know that b squared is going to be 16. That's 4 up and 4 down. All right, now here's where I'm going to tell you what the focus is. Okay, so the foci is going to be 7 plus and minus the square root of 30, comma 1. So, what does C equal here? No, the square root of 30, and C squared equals 30. Okay? Now, remember that in the hyperbola, C squared is A squared plus B squared. So 30, which is C squared, equals A squared plus B squared is 16. But when you minus 16, 14 equals A squared. And, you know, even if you just show me what they are, what A squared and B squared equals, then you would be correct. All right. So those two aren't too bad, okay? But now we get to the fun stuff. One of the, whoops, I went down the wrong row. We have to solve an x squared by completing the square. So you need to remember what we did. If you had an x squared plus 4x minus 7 equals 0, you would have to do the quadratic formula to solve that. But if we complete the square, you would take the 7 and add it to the other side. Okay, so I'd add 7. Now, what we do to complete the square is we take half of the x term, 4, which is 2, and then you square it. So I add 4. And I have to add, if I add 4 to one side of the equal, I have to add it to the other. So this is going to be x squared plus 4x plus 4 is x plus 2 squared. So I made it into a perfect square, and that would equal 7 plus 4 is 11. So to solve that, you take the square root of this. So x plus 2 equals plus or minus, when you take the square root, it's the square root of plus or minus 11, and then you minus 2 from both sides. So that's your answer. That would be the simplified way that you would do that. Okay. Now, when you complete the square, the term in front of the x squared has to be 1. If it's not, you have to factor it out. It makes it a mess. So let's say that this is 3x squared plus 12x minus 1 equals 0, okay? So if I'm completing the square, I would add the 1 over here. But if this has to be 1, I have to factor a 3 out, okay? So that gives me x squared plus 4x, and I put it in parentheses. So to complete the square, I take half of 4, which is 2, so I add 4. But over here then, I add 12. Where did the 12 come from? It's the 3 times the 4. So this becomes 3 in front of x plus 2 squared equals the 13. Now if you were to solve that, you divide by the 3, and then take the square root. So x plus 2 equals plus or minus the square root of 13 over 3, and then you put a minus 2 in front. So that's how the quadratic equation would look. All right. Now, this is the messy one. Okay, now this is a parabola right here. The y term is not squared, okay? And they ask you for the directrix. It sort of helps us out, okay? Now, if I need to complete the square over here, so I minus the 10. Now, I want to get this in the right form. Now this one's sort of a weird one. So I would minus 10 from both sides like that. So y minus 10 equals x squared minus 8x, okay? Okay, the x squared minus 8x, I need to complete the square. You take half of 8, which is 4, and then you square 4. So I add 16. If I add 16 to the right side of the equal sign, I have to add 16 to the left side. So that means y plus 6 equals, now that's going to be x minus 4. Now if that's a minus side, it's minus and then it's squared. Okay? look at your two problems down here at the bottom, okay? See, there's the x squared equals the single y plus 6. But I don't have that number 8 there. Or I don't have that number -12. The number in front of that y would be a 1, because there's nothing there. Okay, let me rewrite this as x minus 4 squared equals a 1 in front of y plus 6. Okay, what is the vertex of this parabola? So 4, -6. So if I would go to 4, down to -6, and it's an x squared that's positive, so it opens up like this, okay? All right. Now, we are not finding C on the parabola. We're finding which letter? P, right? But P always comes with a 4 right there. So 4P equals that number 1. So P is just going to be 1/4. So here's my ellipse. I go up 1/4. I go up just 1/4. Now remember, right here you were at 4, -6. I go up 1/4. The focus is at 4, and then I went up to, and it's gonna be -5 3/4. So instead of -6, we went up 1/4. Now, the directrix, you go that same distance behind that 1/4, and you draw a equation for the directrix. And that's gonna be y equals, what's the equation for that? So it's gonna be -6 and 1/4. Now, and you will see when we do the other two, I don't like the parabola. It's just that, I don't like that P, and I don't like this, because it's not squared. For me, it's harder. Let's see what you think about it. Okay, there's your answer to this one. All right, look at the snowman problem, okay? Now, you need to get the x's together and the y's together. So on the eighth one, we are gonna take the 9x squared minus 54x. So put the two x's together, leave a little gap, and then we're gonna plus 4y squared minus 32y. And then the -109, I put it over to the other side. Okay, to complete the square, you factor out a 9. That gives me x squared minus 6x. We take, now, if this is an odd number, then we get like 5/2. So hopefully it's an even number for us. This is 3, and then I go 3 squared, so I add 9. So on this side, I add 81. 9 times 9. I take a 4 out of the y. That's y minus 8, y squared minus 8y. Half of 8 is 4, and when I square it, that's 16. 4 times 16 is 64. So this is a 9. Now remember, it's x minus 3 squared plus 4, and that's y minus that 4 squared equals, when you add these numbers together, you get 36. get x minus 3 squared over 4, 9 into 36, plus y minus 4 squared over 9, 4 into 36 is 9, equals 1. All right, so the center is at 3 and 4, isn't it? In the x, we go 2 directions. In the y, we go up 3. And then you draw your evens. So the vertices would be 3, 4. So I'm right here, I go up 3 and down 3. So it's plus or minus 3. The co-vertices then would be opposite this, so it's 3 plus or minus 2. So we go 2 and 2, 4. And when I subtract those two, c squared is 9 minus 4, which is 5. So c is the square root of 5. And the foci would look just like this. So it's 3, 4 plus or minus the square root of 5. Okay, you got to do that on the test. Okay?
Okay, so when you divided by the 36, how did you get the 4 and the
9 divides into 36, 9 into 36.
9? Okay,
Now, they will always be numbers that divide into it. When you take the test, that won't be 37.
okay,
Okay, they will be numbers that go into them evenly.
okay.
And they're almost, I don't think they will be something that's not a perfect square here. So it'll always be that. Okay, now, number 9, we got asymptotes. So this is gonna be a hyperbola because we got a negative x squared now, okay? So number 9. Okay, so get the x's and y's together. So this is negative 4x squared minus 16x. Leave a space.